Okay, Gateway family, good to see everybody on this cold and wet December morning. Um, I'm just going to wait a little bit. You guys, if you're watching live in the comment section, just let us know you're watching. We'd love to hear from you. A lot of your first timers, so we definitely want to make sure that you guys are on and can hear me clearly. I got a microphone in here. I'm doing this from my house, but we got a big event for you today. And as everybody's kind of logging in, I want to switch over here a little bit to my presentation mode here. Let me get this all set up here. Perfect. Big class. This is going to be one that we strategically put in between Thanksgiving, which was last week, and then Christmas in 3 weeks. So it's one of those weird years where it's just such a short time frame between them. But I felt like even though it's a crazy time of year for a lot of you, this is one of those classes that just needs to happen. It just needs to be heard, especially of this topic, because I'm sure a lot of you are watching going, yeah, like I need help with this, or this is something that really affects me during this time. And you're not alone. Like the holiday season, it's described as, October 31st, so Halloween, all the way through January 2nd. And it's going to be one of those, when you look at the length of time that encompasses, it's about 1/6 of our year is the holiday mode. Right. And so why is that important? Well, the holiday mode, you guys know what I'm talking about. We typically, as Americans, we really don't take good care of ourselves and make the best choices during holiday mode. If you think about all the events, all the different holidays themselves, family get-togethers, traveling, buying stuff for kids. It's a lot. It's a lot of stress. It can be a time when we don't exercise as often. We definitely don't eat as good. We don't sleep as much, obviously, and we're stressed. We're trying to get things done at work, so we have some time off with our family. And what that kind of equates to, we're not out in the sun because it's starting to get colder, so we're not out. We're not exercising as often, and so that breeds us into what a lot of doctors will call the cold and flu season. I call it the we've let ourselves kind of go season, and we're getting sick because of that. This is the trashing our body type of season. I know, bear of bad news, but just hear me out on this. I want you to understand, though, this is bigger than just the holidays. If you really look at not just the holiday mode, but look at, Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day or Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July. Are you eating great on those days also? A little more chocolate or dessert in Valentine's or the month of February. Maybe you have a couple Valentine's days. You get what I'm saying? So you add in the other holidays, then let's add in like anniversaries, or we can add in like something like a celebratory event. It could be your vacations. You add all that up, now it gets really interesting. Now it becomes more like a fourth of our year. We're not taking really great care of ourselves. Now, understand what I mean on this. This is the holiday type of eating, which is a little bit, which is worse than how most people already eat anyways, which isn't really great. That's the standard American diet. So when we do the math on this, like this is catastrophic for us. And because of this, we as a country, we have the most obese adult population in the world by a landslide. Nobody comes close to us. We have the most obese child population in the whole world. Nobody comes close to us. We have the most diseased kids on the planet, not industrialized nations. I'm talking third world nations included. We have the worst health of kids and adults than anybody. And we spend by a landslide way more on I call it, it's not healthcare, but it's called healthcare. We pay more on sick care and disease care and drug care than any other country in the world too. So you have these things that are already going on in our country, and that's why this is such a detrimental part of the year. I don't know if you knew this or not either. The 3 biggest days of heart attacks for Americans are Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then New Year's Day. Isn't that crazy? All kind of within 2 weeks. There are more heart attacks in this country in that 2-week span than any other time in the year. So my point on this is this class needs to happen. And hopefully those of you watching, because we have a lot of patients watching. If you're a first time, patient, basically this is your first class you've been to, let us know in the chat, in the comments, let us know. We love to hear from you. If you are a guest, maybe you're not a patient at all, but maybe one of our patients, is having you watch this, which is awesome. I love that. Welcome. You're part of the family. Let us know you're watching though. Like we love when new people get this information, because it can really save your life. It can save your life. It can add years of quality to your life, and not just for you, but for your spouse, for your kids. That's what it's really all about, is getting your family healthy together too. So kind of without further ado, we're going to get into this workshop, which I'm excited. So stress, sugar, and inflammation, what you're going to see here. So I'm kind of in the presentation mode part now. Please, if you have questions during this class, that is awesome. We're going to do Q&A at the end of this. I know you're going to have some questions. So write your questions in the comments section, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, put the questions in. We'll answer them at the end of this. It's a lot of fun, the Q&A, and they're great questions. So if you're thinking I'm going to have a bad question, don't think that. Your question is going to be awesome. And there's not most people are thinking that. You're just the brave one that's asking that question. So we love that when you ask questions. But let's be kind of honest here when it comes to sugar. Like, it's poison at the right amount, at the right dose. We take a lot of sugar in this country. It's kind of crazy. So we take about 100 pounds of sugar a year. That's the typical American putting in their body. Your body can't handle that type of sugar load. And then on top of that, it's about 55 gallons of soda the average American puts in their body every year. And then we have about 50 pounds of high fructose corn syrup. That's a lot of junk that we put in our body. It stresses our body. It inflames our body. We're going to really hit three big things like chemical stress. We're going to hit emotional stress and physical stress, things that really cause inflammatory problems in our body, and what we can do to help reverse that and get our lives back, get our health back. And this is a big class too, because I don't want anybody, it's such a tough job sometimes doing what we do. This is officially, I think, we opened December 7th, 2007. So we're officially on our 18th year in practice here in Fort Worth, which is awesome. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, but it's pretty neat. Over the years, I've seen thousands of people, thousands of patients, and it never fails. We'll have people that just kind of drift through the office. They do not come to classes. They don't get engaged. They don't read newsletters. They don't learn anything about what they're having done to their body, their spine by us. They don't take advantage of any of that stuff. And then, once they're done with their treatment, they go back to just trashing their body and they get worse. They don't get better. What I love to see are patients that come in, they start absorbing what we're talking about, and they start making changes. And nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to make a change in one day, but you slowly get a little bit better at each essential that we're going to cover. And what's awesome, and it's so enjoying to me, is seeing those patients' lives change and get better. Reversing getting off medications, reversing disease processes, being able to walk again, lift up their kids again, exercise again, lose weight, just really getting their health back. That's the joy of what we get to do. What I hope that those of you watching that need to make some changes in this category, this topic, I hope you start doing that now, and you don't wait till January 1st or 2nd. Don't be that person. Do this stuff now. You'll have a 4-week head start on everybody else, and you'll have a habit that is now created, because it takes about 30 days to create a new habit. You'll have this new habit created that's going to put you in the driver's seat to hitting those goals that you have. And that's what's so big. But yeah, think about this when it comes to stress, sugar, inflammation. In our country, 3 out of 4 people have stress that impacts their mental health. And again, when I did this class was before COVID and all that mess. I feel like this number is even higher. I think this might be like 4 out of 5 by now, are stress. And then around the holidays, it's even higher because, even good stress is stress and it wears us out. Diabetes is the fastest growing chronic disease in the world. Stress and sugar are direct paths to chronic inflammation. People don't get this. They don't understand that the stuff that not only do we put in our bodies, we put on our bodies, how we sleep, our emotional stress, like how we handle thoughts, how we prepare ourselves when we wake up, what we put, our physical form, like our structure, our spinal column, our hips, our body, we don't understand. A lot of people don't how big that That's everything with your health. That makes everything make or break. You could be so much healthier if you invested in those things versus all the drugs out there that they have. Those are all treating symptoms. We're going to talk about root causes that do not cost very much money to change. A lot of them are free to do, but it will be such an investment in your health, and your body will thank you. Your future self will thank you for changing this. So we're going to kind of get into this. I hope you're guys excited as I am, because I feel this is such a powerful class that everybody needs. And I hope those of you watching, you share this class with your family, with your friends. This one's going to save to YouTube and to Facebook. You can just share the class with a family member or friend. That's the biggest compliment to us that you can give us is obviously sharing the message, because people aren't hearing this stuff. They're not. You know what they're hearing right now? They're hearing shop, shop, shop. They're hearing, finance, finance, finance. And they're hearing, get this shot, get this shot, get this shot so you don't get sick. That's what they're hearing right now. That's not the way to go this time of year, or really any time of year. This is the stuff that we're talking about that matters, right? So when it comes to the standard American lifestyle, you know how we said that people don't take care of themselves during the holidays? Well, this is on top of not eating very good or throughout the rest of the year. So it's really extremely bad on top of bad. That doesn't give us a good outcome. That's why so many people are overweight and obese, 30, 40 pounds overweight, because it's one of those things where if you go back, just go back, it doesn't have to take long, but go back to the 60s and the 70s, even before then. If you took a picture of people at the beach in the 1970s, do you know what you would not see? You would not see very many overweight people. Most people were fit, in shape, and guess what they weren't having to do? They weren't exercising all the time. A lot of them didn't exercise at all. They moved, they worked. There wasn't as much tech stuff as there is now. But the food that they ate, even though it might not have been the best food, it was nothing like the food that we eat now. So that's why it's hard for people to grasp this. Back in the 70s, for instance, like having French fries, they were, real potatoes, and they were cooked in, tallow, like animal fat, beef tallow. Now it's canola oil. So just something as simple of a change as that, canola oil is extremely inflammatory to your body. Your body doesn't know how to process or digest it properly, and it creates damage to your cells, right? To your tissues. Somebody eating this diet, I mean, this might have been, today I'm kind of bummed. I didn't know I made this class during the start of the awesome brand new college football playoff, but a lot of people are going to eat this stuff today. That's not food, ladies and gentlemen. That's not. That is ultra processed. That's fried food. That's chemical food. That's food-like products. That God knows what's in those hot dogs. It could be, 20 different byproducts of stuff. That's not food. We have these enormous portion sizes, but we're not getting nutrients. So think about this. This is different than like a country, like a starving nation, like in Africa. This is very different, right? Our country, we have abundance of just food-like stuff, but it's not food. And we're definitely not getting nourished by it. We're not getting satiated by it. We're not full. Why? Why, when you eat this stuff, a lot of things happen. Number one is you're getting a ton of chemicals from how this stuff is made and prepped, and the oils it's used to fry it or cook it in. You're getting a ton of gluten from the bread. You're getting a lot of the damage from the hydrogenated oils and fats from like the fried food. That's all unhealthy fat we're eating that creates inflammation. But we're not getting vitamins and minerals from that. We're not getting nothing nutritious from that. So we're not getting the right amount of protein, fat, healthy fat, and then the carb intake, and we're getting no vitamins and minerals with this food. And so what happens is we eat a lot of this food, our body goes into shock. Like you eat, just a couple of those things, you're going to get tired. Why? Because your body is diverting all the energy to your gut and your stomach to try to break that stuff down so you can utilize a little bit of the protein and maybe some of the carbs, but everything else, your body's having to really use all its energy to break that stuff down and try to get it to the colon so you can eliminate it, right? But what happens is you shut down. You're just like, passing out because you're trying to take this stuff in and your body's going, what the heck? We can't eat like this. We can't do this. So we're getting poor quality vitamins and minerals, which are your micronutrients, and really bad fats, which is the macronutrients, proteins, carbs. This is all out of just normal here. It's very energy dense, meaning it takes a ton of energy to break this stuff down. And then we have very low energy expenditure. So as a country, we're not out and about doing the things we normally do. Like we're not out, we have washing machines and dryers. We're not out hanging our clothes. We're not washing them ourselves. We're not in the sun as much. Everybody's on tech and computers. These things are things that really make us just prime for disease. If you look at other countries, check this out. You look at countries that, that they don't live like we do, even third world countries that are, they have starvation is their big issue, malnutrition or dehydration. They have really polluted water, right? If you gave them just, good nutrients and you gave them clean water, they could farm better. They could grow their own stuff. They would be so much healthier than us. They are technically, even though they're in countries that are impoverished, they are so much better health-wise than us. If you look at their teeth, they're white. They don't have teeth or gum disease, any of that stuff. They don't have cavities because they're not eating the stuff that we're eating. They're not eating all the sugar. They're not having diseases of civilization. Did you know that obesity, diabetes, especially the type 2, heart disease, and even cancer, you see that in much, much higher rates in civilized, industrialized countries, first world. These are first world problems that we deal with, and people don't understand that. They don't see that. And I tell you, it's a problem and it's scary. So what we want to do is, we have the access that these other countries don't have. Let's use it to our advantage. Let's really get picky of what we put in our body, what we put on our body, how we move our body, how we rest our body, and the frame of our body. We do that stuff, we're going to be in such a better place of health. And you do this stuff for 30 days. You are going to create a lifelong habit, and it's going to change your life. If you're wanting to lose weight, you'll lose weight. If you're wanting to burn fat, you'll burn fat. If you want to have, go down a couple sizes, that'll happen to you. If you want to get back into exercising without pain, that'll happen to you. You apply what we're talking about. It will happen, right? You want to reduce your medication load, that's going to happen. That's a byproduct of getting healthy. I want you to see this in a different light because it is so big. And this is kind of what we believe as a Max Living chiropractor. I've been, one for my whole time in practice. I love it because we really hit 5 essentials, and so this is kind of the 5 essentials that we talk about and we really preach. Yeah, nutrition matters. Nutrition helps influence your body's function. It doesn't control it, but it helps influence it. It can make or break your body. Absolutely. It matters what you put into your body. It matters what ingredients go into your body. It matters to have simple ingredients in your body so your body knows how to break them down. If you're putting chemicals that your body doesn't recognize into your body goes into panic mode and it creates stress on your body. That's not good. And when you're doing that multiple times a day over years, now you see the big problem. We poison ourselves more than any other country in the world. Toxicity fits into that poison. That toxicity is a problem in our country. We poison our country. Goodness gracious, just look at what we tell parents to feed their kids for breakfast, which is cereal, and go read the labels on that and go see all the different chemicals in what we're told is a great way to start your child's day is pump them full of chemicals. You guys see the problem with that? So toxicity is a problem. Reducing your toxic load, that's vital. That's huge. Okay, so we've got to reduce that. Oxygen is crucial, right? I mean, these are things that we know, but are we practicing that? Can we get better with that? And I think, yes, we absolutely can. You need oxygen, meaning we are meant to move. We are meant to be out in the sun. We're meant to be outside. We're not meant to be indoors all day on computers. We're just not. We are meant to move our bodies and sweat. That's how we're designed. And like I said, getting out and moving, that's going to be a big thing for us, right? So that's a huge essential, okay? A healthy mindset is vital. I think because if you're grounded in your philosophy when it comes to health, and I want to share mine with you because this helps me with my life, with my kids, with my wife. It helps us just with how we make our decisions when it comes to health and a lot of other things too, finances, you name it, just all that stuff, raising our family. Um, Health really is the foundation. In the way that I view health, I don't view health as I just wait around for something to blow up and then I go get my tests done and then I get pumped full of drugs or I get shots or I have a surgery. There is a time and a place for drugs and surgery. Absolutely, there is. That's not what I'm saying. But that's not my first line of defense. That will never be the first line of defense unless I have a traumatic accident. That's an emergency. That's when drugs and surgery is really warranted. It'll save your life in those crises. Absolutely. What I'm talking about is, okay, my thing is I don't want to wait until I'm having something show up on a test to do something about it. Now, I know nobody's perfect. There are blind spots. I understand that. However, I can really reduce my risk of that happening if I'm proactive with my health. Do you guys get what I'm saying? If I am putting the right stuff in my body, if I'm supplementing to bridge the gaps, because I didn't always take care of myself really good growing up. I was very unhealthy, asthmatic. I took medications for 20 years. I lived on prednisone and Albupen and inhalers. And, I had just about every sickness you could have as a child. It was kind of disturbing. So I didn't take care of myself and I didn't eat good. I didn't take any type of vitamins or supplements. I just didn't know better. I exercised a lot as an athlete, but at the same time, I didn't rest really well. All that stuff created problems that I'm dealing with now in my mid 40s. So I'm a lot better than I was, but just understand there's some challenges that we have because we weren't always doing this stuff well. Now, the difference is how we want the next generation to be better. Well, my kids, they're not like I was growing up. My kids they've been adjusted since I'm talking minutes old. My son, literally 2 minutes from being born, I had to adjust him because he had a collapsed lung. And so it's just crazy story of that. That's for maybe another time, but had to adjust my son. My kids they grow up differently than I did. They get adjusted regularly. Every week I'm adjusting my kids multiple times a week. They're eating well. Like we're giving them, they're already having vitamins to bridge gaps since they could start taking vitamins and supplements. Just not a ton of stuff, but just, good quality things that we, know really will help just a balanced lifestyle for a child. They're not there. We get them out in the sun, we get them exercising, we get them out moving. They do have tech time app. They do. That's just the way that the world is right now. But we monitor that and we try to get them to balance that obviously with non-tech things. That's huge. And then what else? They supplement, they eat well. It's just the stuff that I grew up not doing. They don't take any medications. They don't get, vaccinations. We've never had that with our kids. And that might be shocking to a lot of y'all. Understand the philosophy behind this is we want our children to have every advantage that we don't have, that I didn't have growing up. And that's the best part of doing this stuff and helping you guys. It's also like this is just what we do with our family. And this was through a lot of Shanna and my personal health struggles growing up. That's how we do. We want it different for our kids. And I think that's the big point of all this. We want it different for our children, but also in the midst of this, we want to get better ourselves and learn from mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And then lastly, when it comes to a balanced nervous system, that's the foundation. Like I said, that is where we start. That's not where we end up. That's not the last thing. That's not if I have time for it, I'll take care of my nervous system. This is the first system that's ever formed in you when you're just cells. It's the first system formed. It's the system that builds all your other systems. It's the system that runs everything. Your brain and spinal cord runs your heart. It runs your colon. It runs your pancreas, right? How's your blood sugar controlled? Through your brain, through your nervous system, through your pancreas, right? How does your digestive system break down food? Brain, spinal cord, nerves, colon. That's how it works. It's not the other way around. It's top down. Okay. Everything in your body is run by your brain and spinal cord. That's the foundation system. And again, you have to take care of it. You can not take care of it. You're going to have problems. You're going to suffer the consequences. And that's what we see in practice. A lot of people don't know better. They don't know to take care of their spine and nerves. And as a result, they get into really bad situations and we have to try to pull them out of a lot of this. And like I said, It's just what we do. But just, I hope you get this. These are the essentials. This is what we believe. And when we apply these things and we get a little bit better at each one, lives can change. It's awesome. But yeah, we got to start with the nervous system. And it's kind of interesting because it is the foundation. And however, everything is linked in our body. So we talk about your nerves, we talk about food, we talk about your mindset, we talk about, stress, all of that toxicity, they all overlap each other. That's what people don't understand. They overlap and they go together. They're not just completely separate. It's all overlapping. And so when we understand it's all overlapping, here's how we start fixing this stuff. We identify causes of interference, because at the top of this slide, you're seeing just probably the biggest aha statement I can give you is that your body needs no help. It just doesn't need interference. If we can stop messing or interfering our body, it will work like God designed it to work. It will heal well. Our bodies, if you think about how much we abuse them and we're still alive, like our bodies can handle a lot of stress and still work normal. But if we remove that stress, it's going to work even better, right? So 3 types of stress, and we'll kind of do it in this order. We have our chemical stress. These are things that it'll interfere with not only your body, can interfere with your nervous system. Emotional stress, same thing, can interfere with your body, can interfere with your blood sugar, can interfere with your nerves. And then physical stress, which is kind of what people associate when I talk about the spine and nerves, they think physical problem or physical stress. They all can interfere with it. And so we want to break these down. Hopefully this is starting to make some sense. And we want to kind of get into how the chemical part of this is a problem. And that's part of our class is sugar. We're going to learn a little bit about sugar. You might not like me when we get done with sugar, but it is the silent killer. And it's one of those where people that think they don't consume sugar, they do, unless you are uber strict, right? Unless you're uber strict, you're getting sugar in your body because it's in everything. And what we'll kind of understand is there's some natural sugars that our body can at least handle and assimilate, utilize, and eliminate. And then there's a lot of chemical sugars, artificial sugars. That's what the stuff that just stays in our body. We don't really get that stuff out. It really harms us. But sugar, if you do, and I don't recommend this for everything, but if you do a simple Google search on sugar, put sugar equals disease, you will have thousands of not just somebody's opinion. You'll have hundreds of just research studies pop up on just how bad sugar is to your health and to your body and to your brain. We'll get into the brain stuff. Sorry, I got the hiccups. We'll get into the brain stuff in a second, but it really is detrimental to your overall health. Just consumption of it. Remember, back in the early 1900s, the average American took about 7 teaspoons of sugar a day. That's kind of what they would average. So there was sugar back then, obviously, but just you take a little bit a day. Everybody knows how to handle that because it was just basic sugar, wasn't a lot of chemicals. But now the average American takes, it's over 100 teaspoons of sugar every single day. That's a huge difference in what it was years ago. So understand the difference. This is how it becomes like you'll see it in a different light. So just back in the 70s and 80s compared to the early 2000s. Okay, so this data is a little dated. It's early 2000s. It's not 2024 data, but this stuff comes out so many years later. You guys maybe understand that. But back in the 70s, as Americans, we consumed about 300 less calories per day back in the 70s and 80s than we did 20 years ago in the 2000s. So think about this. The average American, 300 calories more per day we're eating now. It's probably a little bit higher, but compared to the 70s and 80s. So you would think, well, that's not that huge of a difference. And it is and it's not. It's not as far as amount of calories because you can easily burn that off if it's real food. But when it's on top of how we're eating now and all the sugar we're taking, all the fructose corn syrup and all the different chemicals and all the rancid bad fats we're eating, you add another 300 calories onto that, it is very detrimental to our health. So there's a big difference in that, right? Overconsumption of sugar, yeah, at least a weight gain, people get that. Heart disease, because it starts building up plaquing in the arteries. It can do that, yes. Diabetes, type 2. I mean, that is a lifestyle disease. If you're type 2 diabetic, you created that problem yourself. And I say that lovingly, not to offend or make mad, but in the same light, you can also reverse that process and start changing and getting out of that type 2 diabetes, predicament. You totally can. Cancer, sugar feeds cancer. It feeds cancer. If you or a loved one, somebody is going through cancer treatment, cut them off of the sugar. For the love of the Lord, cut them off that sugar. Sugar, you want to starve those cancer cells. You eliminate your sugar. I know it's tough, but you have no choice when you're going through cancer. You starve those cancer cells. That's what you got to do. It helps so much with patients that do that, right? Depression, sugar, because you have that sugar high and then you have the sugar crash. And when you start doing that over and over and over again, it starts to mess with your hormones. It starts to mess with your mood and your brain, and you become depressed. And I'm going to tell you how it leads to this depression, because it's very addictive. Sugar is low energy. I know that's the opposite, because you think, well, I have sugar, I have energy. Well, not always. You'll have a short spike of energy, but it's amazing how a lot of people also have caffeine with the sugar, and that's usually what really gives you that energy and spikes, but it crashes, and then you just kind of lethargic. Fatty liver disease, skin, cellular aging, that's big. Acne, facial, acne, this skin, really big stuff. Sugar will lead to a mess with all of that stuff. And here's the thing when it comes to the addiction of sugar. It is so addictive to your brain. There are studies that show sugar is more addictive than cocaine to your brain. It's harder to quit sugar than cocaine. Think about that. That's such a crazy, mind-blowing statement, but it's not. The study I'm talking about, it showed that sugar was 8 times more addictive than cocaine. 8 times more. And we wonder why it's so hard to quit. We wonder why people can't stop it. It makes sense. It is a drug. It is just as much a drug as cocaine is. It's just it's the hidden stuff. Like, we think it's not so bad, and we start our kids on the sugar very early in life. It used to not be that early, but it is now. We start them off very early. There's sugar in infant formula now. There's a lot of sugar, a lot of fructose corn syrup, and don't even get me into the corn. There's so many GMO things, products in infants. We start our kids off with toxins and junk and sugar right off the bat sometimes. So it's super addictive. And so you really have to start asking yourself, is sugar more of a nutrient or is it more of a toxin? And in reality, it's more of a toxin than anything. Now, when it comes to the holiday season, this is when we can really get into trouble, because think of how many things. This is why we want strategy with our holidays. It's not saying you can't have a fun holiday. I'm not saying that one bit. What I am saying, though, is you got to be strategic right now, or you'll gain weight like most people do. People gain a lot of weight. I used to talk about this. We used to do a lot of like first of the year classes we used to go to like a business. We would do like a lunch and learn. We bring in like a healthy version lunch to people. They'd be kind of mad because it wasn't like, Chick-fil-A or something nasty. They were thinking that, and I'm bringing in something, like salads and healthy stuff. And they would it was funny to see people's faces like, oh man, it's healthy, But when we used to talk about this stuff in January, the stats that I would refer to, there's studies that show that your average person gains between 5 to 10 pounds every holiday season, 5 to 10 pounds. And here's the problem with that. Most New Year's resolutions fail after 2 weeks. So people really try, then they realize, oh man, this is actually harder than I thought to burn this fat off or to lose this weight. And they just stop. And then as the year goes by, they keep, eating the same way they did. They gain another 5 to 10 pounds the next holiday season, and they don't burn that off. Now you see the problem, and it adds and it adds and it adds up. And that's how people, they'll gain from when they start living on their own to when they're, in their 50s or 60s, they'll gain 40, 50 pounds. And it wasn't all in 1 year, but it's sneaky how it adds up. But this is why this strategy will really help you starting this holiday season. Maybe you didn't do it Thanksgiving. That's okay. We're not looking in the past. We are looking forward. We're looking to Christmas and New Year's. But this strategy, I think, is going to really help you, which is right off the bat, if it's processed, don't eat it. I don't know, that's going to make some of you mad. I know you love your dressing. I know you love all that stuff. I get it. But what you want are more foods with no labels, because there's only like one, like carrots, it's a carrot. Cucumbers, it's a cucumber. Like you want, like beef, the ingredient is beef. It's not a science experiment of other chemicals and stuff. That's where you want to start right now with the holiday season. Just have whole foods, right? Whole foods. You go there, you're going to be better off than normal. It's such a simple rule. If you can abide by it, you'll be so much better off. So the processed foods or the canned foods, really read the labels. If there's a lot of ingredients, don't use it. Just use one ingredient. So just fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy, eggs, that's how, fish. But like there's one ingredient in it. Like stick with that. Your body can recognize simplicity is designed to do that, and it can eliminate that very easily too. Again, so hopefully this is helping, because if you look at it on a percent scale, when I say 5 to 10 pounds of weight, so the holidays, it's about 500% more per week, especially the week between of Thanksgiving to Christmas. Those weeks, 500% more weight gain than any other week of the year. It's kind of nuts, right? So we people put on that weight and they just don't burn it off. So we got to be very conscious of that, because we're going to get into trouble. And you're going, why, Dr. Wall? Why do you have this rule of just one ingredient foods, or two at tops? If maybe you have like green beans and you have some garlic on it, or salt, or some olive oil, or you've cooked it in bone broth. But like, I recognize those ingredients. They're simple one ingredients that I'm adding to it. I'm not adding concoctions. Why is that important? Because sugar, these food companies are just evil. They really are evil genius. They're going to poison you, and they're going to smile at you and tell you it's sugar-free, even though sugar has many names. Check this out, guys. It's 50 different names of sugar. 50 different names. It's all sugar. It's all will spike your blood sugar. It will all do that. Some will do it different ways. Maybe it's delayed, or maybe it's right instantly when you take it, but it's spiking your blood sugar every time you eat this stuff. And this is loaded in your processed foods. So the boxed foods, this is the stuff that's in the center of your grocery store. We want to stay away from the center of the grocery store if all possible. Avoid the center. Stick to the outside. The outside is where you have the single ingredient foods, the fruits, the vegetables, your produce, your meats, your dairy, your fish. It's all on the outside. So stick to the outside and you'll do good. Like I'm saying, this stuff is in there. And it's not just one sugar that's in most of your processed foods. You'll have 5 or 6 in one, serving. And that's how we get all this sugar in our body. So when this auto saves, like if you have your phone, take a picture of this slide, because it's just, when you're at the grocery store, you need to recognize the sugar, right? You do. So take a picture of this, but it will save. If you're watching, this stuff saves. So some people are going to watch this class a little later today. This will be on there. So you can go back and rewatch this, save it, take pictures of these slides that are really speaking to you, that you want to remember. Do that. I'm going to give you some help here at the end. We got some protocols for everybody that are watching. And you don't even have to be a patient. If you're a patient, you can pick this stuff up in our office, super easy. If you are not a patient and you're still in the Fort Worth area, the DFW area, you can still swing by our office and get this stuff super easy. But if you're out of town, if you're watching from another state, we do have people that are watching this from another state. You can actually still be able to do a lot of this stuff, apply this stuff. I'll show you all these groups. I'll show you all how to take advantage of this and start implementing this as well. So really cool. So the big thing is all sugar bad? You know what? I used to say yes, just younger and more absolute. I will say this. So God's pretty smart, and it's pretty neat how he designed, natural sources of sugar versus the artificial ones. right? So there is a difference. Yes, absolutely there is. With your fruits, your vegetables, they're natural sources of sugar. So it's going to be kind of like more of fructose is going to be kind of the big one. That's the natural type of sugar found in these. And the thing with that type of sugar is there's fiber in these fruits and vegetables that helps like down regulate the sugar effect on our body. So it's like I said, God's very smart beyond our comparison. But it's just like he knew, you know what, if you want to have this apple, eat the apple. Don't juice it where you don't have any fiber and it's just fruit juice, because that's all sugar, that'll spike your blood sugar. But if you're at least eating the apple, there's a lot of vitamins in fiber in that apple that will offset a lot of the effects of the sugar. So your body handles that. It's an apple, like it knows how to handle that. Now, artificial sugars, there is a massive difference. Because artificial sugars, they're devoid. They have absolutely zero nutritional benefit for you. They have no vitamins. They have no minerals in them. You gain nothing from taking them. They essentially trick your brain, and they're very addictive. Artificial sugars stimulate your brain in the wrong way. You always will be hungry having the artificial sugars. You'll be hungry. And this is the stuff that's more of like high fructose corn syrup or sucrose, like table sugar. Those are the most common forms of artificial sugar, but just there's no nutrient benefit to this stuff. This does not help you one bit. And by and large, the artificial, that's the stuff that's all in those processed foods, those box foods that we get, especially this time of year. A lot of people are getting, the dressings and all that stuff set up. You got to watch it. So sugar will fuel not only your weight gain, but it's going to fuel inflammation. And inflammation is nasty. Inflammation is at the root of most diseases and disease processes because it's an abnormal thing. We don't want to be walking around inflamed. So sugar will cause chronic pain. Obviously, when we say inflammation, that can absolutely mean pain. A lot of people that are in pain, they don't understand how their diet makes their pain worse. It's pretty staggering. So they think that their diet, and especially when I talk about the spine here in a minute, they'll think like physical pain. That it makes sense when we talk about the spine and nerves, but they don't think that the trash they're eating all the time is actually making that worse. So like I said, everything is linked in what we're talking about today. That's why you don't do just one thing. You don't create blind spots in your health. You want to do a little bit of each essential and really work at doing all of them as good as you can. And you put out those blind spots that can take you down. Occluded arteries, high blood pressure, heart disease, organ failure, joint breakdown, like inflammation is nasty, and it really is the true cause of heart disease is inflammation. Our body's trying to put out these fires, but if we don't make changes to root causes, then our body will always be fighting these fires of inflation, and inflation will win. Like it will win the long-term battle. If we remove the sources of this stuff, though, our body wins the battle and we get healthier. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense with you guys watching. But these are the essentials like we talked about. And like I said, a couple slides before, we want to approach these each one. So many people we know, they'll eat good, but they don't do any of the other essentials, and they still wonder why they're overweight, they can't lose weight, or they're having still, disease issues in the body, and vice versa. You've seen the people that look like really good on the outside, they're all like ripped up muscular wise, but yet they die of cancer, they die of a heart attack. You're like, that person has no body fat. Like, how are they having a heart attack? Well, on the outside, they might be looking ripped up and great, but on the inside, they've trashed their body internally, and they just didn't see it coming. This happens a lot, sadly. It really does. We want to implement this stuff and do the best we can on all of them. When we do these essentials well, we heal. The body starts to respond. It's going to respond because that's how we're programmed. It's kind of a neat thing. So the social strategy when it comes to the holidays, try this. So number one, don't go to an event or a family gathering hungry. I know I'm speaking Spanish or Latin to some of you. You're like, wait a second. I starve myself for Thanksgiving. So I can wear my stretchy pants and I can eat all I want. Like, I get it. I know where you're coming from. I've done that myself. Because of, I love to eat. But the reality is every time you're going to overeat, every time you're going to be maybe drinking something you shouldn't drink that's loaded with sugar, because you're going to the event starving, and then you're going to smell the food, and your senses are heightened because you're starving. So everything is on like alert stage. And your cortisol is high because you're starving. So these are things that aren't a good formula for when you're going to like an office party or a Christmas party or just family gatherings. Have a little bit of something. If you're going to a big potluck, that's big too, because you just don't, lovingly. I think I'm not the biggest fan of potlucks, just because I don't know what your house is like. I don't know what ingredients you're using. I don't know, did you put your hands in the food? I know it's terrible. Did you wash your hands before you made the food? I may be grossing some of you out, or maybe I'm going to give you guys nightmares at your next family event. I love you. I'm sorry. Just don't shoot the messenger. This is the weird stuff I think about. But yeah, you just got to watch it. And so, like I said, go to the event, have a little something that you made healthy, or bring your own healthy dish or dishes. Bring some stuff that you're like, okay, I'm going to eat my stuff. I might have a little bit of those green beans that you made, but I'm going to have mostly the stuff that I made, because I know it's healthy. It's funny, but that's a great rule to do when you're coming. Bring something you can eat. I think that's going to be good. And you know what? Some of the other people, they don't even tell them it's healthy. Just have them start eating it and they'll like it. Then you can tell them it's healthy. After that, they start liking it. That's kind of what Shannon may have done in the past with different events that we go to that require food. Really don't be near the food table at all. Just stay away from that thing until you absolutely have to eat something. Plan ahead as well. Don't be running in stress. Like, plan your meals ahead so you can have a little bit to take with you, and you're not, again, starving. And like I talked about earlier, when you're shopping for the groceries, stay away from the inside rows at that grocery store, because that's where all the processed food is. That's the stuff that'll stay in your body for years. It's got a long shelf life. The chemicals that keep it on the shelf and not go bad, that's the same chemicals you're about to put in your body when you eat that stuff. So you just kind of watch it. So again, whole foods, you're going to be way better off. And then balance the sugar with the food. Like we talked about, the fiber can kind of null a lot of the sugar effects. That's huge. So a lot of people will juice vegetables just to get some minerals in their body that way. But when you do that, you're still getting a lot of sugar in it, especially when you juice some fruits. You're getting like straight sugar, in there, and you're getting some vitamins, but you're missing out on a lot of the pulp. You're missing out on a lot of the fiber and all the other vitamins and minerals that get kind of, in the meatier portion of the foods. You're missing out on that. Try to have low carb vegetables. Low carb, that's going to be very helpful, because even with the fruits, you're better off doing that. The ones that are, high in sugar, like a pineapple, moderation, not a daily thing by any means, but you can have, a little bit once a week, but really focus on more of that. And I always find the add-in rule really helps during the holidays. It's really hard to tell somebody that's not eating well to just cut it all out cold turkey. There are people that can do that, but most people cannot cut it all out. So what's the happy medium with that? Add-in rule. So start adding in foods that are healthy, eat them first, and then you'll be more satiated, because you're going to get vitamins and minerals in those foods, right? Because they're loaded with it. And you're going to be less likely to have a sugar craving or crave something unhealthy, because you're getting the vitamins and the minerals that you actually need. That's causing you to be hungry in the first place. You're lacking that. So you start off by putting the good foods in your body first, and you'll start to realize over a couple of weeks, you won't crave the sugar near as much if you do this approach. This is another great little rule of thumb, the balance sugar with food. If you're putting in the stuff your body actually needs, you're not going to be starving for the stuff it doesn't need. It really is a good rule of thumb. And to kind of how you balance that, because this is a real big deal. We're going to get into some resources that you can get and you can start using right away to plan out your meals. Like, that stuff is important. You need to have to have a little bit of help with that. So we got you covered on that. We got some resources I'm going to talk about in a minute, but just that's kind of the rules of thumb that you want to kind of start with. And then with sugar, kind of to answer this question, if sugar's so bad, then what do we use as a sweetener? There are natural sweeteners that we can do, and probably the most common one would be stevia. And when I say stevia, it's plant-based, right? But not all stevia is the same. So you just have, again, reading labels is important. One ingredient stevia, that's what you want. You don't want stevia. And I mean, I've seen stevia that has aspartame or Splenda in it with the stevia, and they were touting it as healthy. That's not healthy. That's artificial. So stevia is probably the easier one. Xylitol is another good one, but xylitol, it can, not with everybody, but xylitol, if you consume too much of it, it can really upset your stomach. So just kind of watch it. But I choose xylitol gum. It works really well. It's really actually very good for anti-cavities and healthy teeth. But those are both really good options. Erythritol is another good option. That doesn't spike your blood sugar. You can bake with that, similar to sugar. So like if what you're baking requires a cup of sugar, you can do a cup of Swerve or erythritol. That'll bake about the same. And then there's a couple other natural sweeteners, but I would do in moderation because they will spike the blood sugar, like maple syrup, honey, that type of stuff. Those are going to be things that, yes, but moderation. You don't want to be doing that like every single day, just because they do really spike the blood sugar up. That's why our organization, Max Living, we have nutrition plans, and they're very helpful. Especially not just any time of year, but this time of year especially. You can make a lot of the foods you really like to eat, guys. You just make them with better ingredients and healthier oils, and your body will feel so much better. You won't feel bloated or drained after. Like, you'll love how your body responds and feels to that. It's an amazing thing. There's rules on these two different types of eating plans. We have two. We have the Max Living plan, the nutrition plan, which we used to call the core plan. What it focuses on, this is kind of like the beginner plan. Everybody can do this. It's focusing on removing all the unhealthy fats out of your diet. So what are the unhealthy fats? The most common ones are going to be the synthetic oils, like the margarines. It's not real butter; it's synthetic. The chemicals, canola oil, vegetable oils, seed oils. These are going to be or hydrogenated oils. These are going to be unhealthy fats and oils that when you mix them with your food, when you eat them, when you heat them up especially, they become rancid and they become very acidic and inflammatory. They promote inflammation in your body's muscles and tissues. These are the oils you do not want to be messing with at all, not even in a little amount. Throw them out, throw them in the garbage. If you have these oils, clean them out. They're not healthy at all, no matter what form they are. Okay, you want to replace those oils when you cook your food with healthy oils. So your avocado oils, your coconut oils, avocado oils, your tallow, like your grass-fed butters, your healthy animal fats. Like, these are going to be fats that are extremely beneficial to you and me. This is the number one deficiency of Americans, is healthy fat. We take a lot of unhealthy fat in our diet. We don't take very much healthy fat. So when it comes to, you heard of the term omega essential fats, omega-3 fats, the stuff I'm talking to you, these healthy fats, they're high in omega-3. That is anti-inflammatory. It reduces inflammation in your body. All those other fats, the seed oils, the synthetic butters, those are high in omega-6 fats, which promote, they are inflammatory. They create inflammation. That's a huge deal. You can literally make food you eat healthy or unhealthy literally by changing the fat oil that you use. It's a big deal, and we need so much of it. You should be consuming healthy fat every meal, every single meal. Like, I am taking in a lot of fat these last couple of months, and I got to tell you, it's been pretty cool. I crave it more now. It's like my body's been. I used to always do healthy fat, but just never to the amount I do now. Like, I do like half a stick of butter with steak, like on the steak, just melted in it, and I'm just, I'm soaking it up before I have each bite of steak. Like, it's that much butter in, and it's wild because it helps so much with reducing inflammation. Isn't that crazy? It's kind of neat. I back in November, I did a marathon, and normally after doing a full marathon, like I can't run for a couple of weeks. Like I'm really inflamed. My knees hurt, my back hurts. It was kind of funny. Like I pulled my quads in the marathon. So that took about a week to heal up, but it wasn't like my back was hurting, my neck was hurting, my knees were hurting. I had none of that inflammation. And I think a lot of it is because I had upped my healthy fats so, like more than I ever have in my life. And so it's promising. So it's a big deal. The other parts of the plan on the core plan, sustainable sources of meat. Again, this can be a vegetarian plan too, but it's vice versa. If you do animal products, you want sustainable source. You want grass-fed, fully grass-fed finished beef. You want pasture-raised chicken. They're out just being chickens, foraging. You want wild-caught fish, that type of like totally grass-fed butter or milk. Grass-fed tallow. That type. You want sustainable, healthy sources of that. You don't want commercial sources of beef or chicken because they're unhealthy. They are very inflammatory, right? So your meat can make or break your diet, absolutely. And then also you want to remove the toxins. You want to be getting better forms of fruits and vegetables. So if you're a vegetarian, you don't want stuff that's sprayed with glyphosate. So you tend to really want to get more organic type of fruits and vegetables. There are some you don't have to get. But you got to look it up, the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen. Those are good options. I'm going to show you how like all these things are in a nutrition book that we have for you. I'm going to show you that in a moment. So if you're going, oh, well, how do I know these fruits are sprayed or not? We have the solution for you. So don't worry. I'm just kind of ahead of myself here on this, but then that's the core plan. The advanced plan, that's going to be for those of you that are coming to this class. You're like, man, I have arthritis. I have, high blood pressure. I'm having, plaquing build up in my arteries. I have cancer, diabetes type 2, but even can help with type 1. It can help a lot with the symptoms of type 1. But if you're in that state, you have degeneration, you have tons of joint inflammation, you need to do what's called the advanced plan, which is, again, both these plans are in our new nutrition book, but you want to do the advanced plan because it's going to cut out some stuff. So you're still going to be putting in tons of healthy fat, sustainable sources of protein, in removing as many toxins out of your food as you can. But one of the big differences, there's a couple. On the core plan, you can have as many fruits and vegetables as you want. There's really not a limit on that. And then you can have some grains, some ancient grains on the core plan before lunch. You don't want to do that stuff after lunch because the grains do turn into sugar. They're very high in carbs, but there are like B vitamins. There's some benefit to them, some glutamine in it. So you can have some, just you want to stack it before, you don't want to have it after lunch. The advanced plan is different because those things still convert to sugar. We do not want to add any fuel to the fire that's going on in the body. So you cut out all the sugar, you cut out all the grains, and you start, the vegetables are okay, but the fruits, you start getting into the low sugar fruits. So the berries, the Granny Smith apples, the lemons, the limes, that type of stuff. That's what you focus on. And when you do that, it puts out those fires that are all over the body, and it starts to really change your body from burning carbs and sugar for energy into burning fat because you're fueling it with fat. It's a cleaner source of energy. And here's the cool thing about your body too. You don't really have to take all the carbs in like you might think for energy. Your body will convert fat to sugar, called gluconeogenesis. That's what your body will do. It kind of gets into a ketotic state, but that's what your body will do with fat. It's a cleaner burning source of fuel, right? Think of carbs like crude oil, right? You got to refine that to get the gasoline. You got to refine that. It can be a dirty process at times, but then you have just clean type of like natural gas, a little cleaner source of fuel to give you energy. Right? There's not all the byproducts that are waste when you do it that way. So again, not an apples to apples comparison, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like you want a cleaner source of fuel, get your body burning fat versus carbs for your energy, and your body can do it. Breakfast could be the first thing you fix out of the day. Something like I would recommend for breakfast, protein and fat in your body because you really want to stimulate metabolism. Protein will do that, and also it helps stabilize your insulin levels and your blood sugar. That's huge. Protein's really good at stabilizing blood sugar. And the difference is you have like a bunch of cereal or a bunch of like donuts or something for breakfast, like a lot of people do because they're rushed. What'll happen is that starts to trigger your insulin fast, and you'll have imbalances as the day goes on. That's why you kind of have the sugar high, then you have the crash, because nothing's stable. When you have fat is unlike carbohydrates. Carbohydrates and sugar burn off very fast. Fat is delayed. Fat takes a while to burn up, and it's a stabilizer of your blood sugar. It works really well. That's why when people are diabetics, and they're like, well, I have to have sugar. I have to have this, or I'm going to have, go into like insulin shock. If it's type 2, no, you don't. If you're having fat and protein, you'll be satiated. Your blood sugar is not going to spike or drop fast. You will feel so much better. This is a huge thing that people don't understand when it comes to protein and fat. So do that first thing in the morning and really kick off metabolism. There are people that when they consume, and this is actually me right now. There are mornings I do have protein and fat, but there's some mornings I don't. And it's not that I'm just not hungry for it. I don't feel like I need it because lunch and dinner, I'm putting so much fat and protein in my body, so much healthy fat that I'm full. I'm satiated. I don't have that desire to eat something, or I'm starving in the morning. It's pretty cool. So if you're satiated really well, you might not have your breakfast till 8 or 9 a.m. versus 6 or 7 like you would normally do, because your body it's got all the nutrients it needs. But for those of you that need some help when it comes to breakfast, and you can't make eggs every breakfast, I tell you, I don't. I love when I do have my eggs for breakfast, but you might not be able to do that. It's okay. Smoothies are a great go-to. They are so helpful because they take very short amount of time, 5 minutes tops, to blend up a smoothie. And you can really put a lot of nutrients in that smoothie and sustain your body until lunch. So you're not starving by 10 o'clock because you just had a donut, right? So I wanted to get everybody in the holiday spirit, which just came off Thanksgiving. So here's a pumpkin pie smoothie recipe, which is in the book I'm going to talk about here next slide. Just, you can see how the ingredients are. They're whole food ingredients. The pumpkin puree, the organic gluten-free rolled oats, whole milk or dairy-free milk like an almond milk or a coconut milk, almond butter, or it could be cashew butter or some type of a nut butter, vanilla extract, cinnamon, nutmeg, scoop of the bone broth vanilla protein. That's the one that we carry, and you have a pumpkin pie smoothie that's actually really good and pretty nourishing. Now, this is not a advanced plan recipe. This is a core plan because of the oats. Those are carbs in there, but again, depending on where you're at, you could take the oats out. Like I've never had oats in a smoothie, like ever. I had everything else in it, and it's advanced plan. So it's just kind of like where you are. I love it. It just meets people where they're at. But doing this instead of your donut, you're gonna be 1,000% better off doing something as simple as a pumpkin pie smoothie. It's kind of cool. And actually, with this, our new books. That's really big. We have a mini book set, and that's going to be these 3 books. They come as a set, so it's 3 books. They're very small, very helpful. And what I like about them being small is you can actually take them with you to the grocery store. So we have the Quick Start Guide to Nutrition and Grocery Shopping. That's the first book. Then you have a recipe book that's just loaded with advanced and core plan recipes. It shows pictures of them, how to make them. There's a bunch of there's like 4 or 5 smoothie recipes in this, and they're marked. They'll have a core plan will have like a circle, and then the advanced plan will have like a triangle. So it'll tell you which one is which is really helpful on that. And then we have the Max Living mini book, which gets into like the toxicity, exercise, making chiropractic a lifestyle, part of your daily life. They're great. They really get all these essentials addressed, and they give you a lot of research on what we're talking about. The grocery shopping guide is great. You can put it in your purse, take to the grocery store, and you can pull it out, and it has the ingredient list. It has the clean 15, the dirty dozen, the stuff that you want to just have moderate amounts of, then the stuff you can eat as much as you want of. It just helps, especially when you're grocery shopping right now. It helps to have that stuff, in there. Where to get these ingredients, I think that's really big. So that's the mini book set. All this mini book stuff, these are all marked down in our office, And I want to kind of point that out. Everything's on sale that we talk about here, but this is always where we want to start when it comes to nutrition and blood sugar balance. What I'm going to talk about now, this is going to be more along the lines of, some people that are, diabetic, maybe you're on metformin, you need some help. Number one, you eat better. Like that's step one. Like this is not in place of this. Step one is eating better, following the advanced plan. But then step two, there's some things that we can do to totally help and help it quick. We have something called berberine synergy. This is a resource we carry in the office. It is gangbusters for blood sugar balance. It works and it works extremely effective. My dad, a little short story, my dad, back in I think it was 2015 or 2016, my dad almost died from high blood sugar. His blood sugar went up to 698. So think about that. Should be around 100 when you wake up, and just a little bit over that if you eat something, no more than 140 if you eat a meal, right? My dad's was almost 700. And luckily he got himself to the hospital. I don't know how, because he was starting to kind of have tunnel vision and he was almost about to pass out. Got to the hospital, called us. We went up to the hospital, and this was in Arlington. And he had to go to 2 hospitals because they couldn't get his blood sugar down. They got it down to about 300, and then it just wouldn't get lower than that. He had to go to 2 hospitals. They gave him 30 units of insulin to drop that down. And then the nurses were telling my dad, congrats, you're a diabetic for now. You'll have to always carry candy bars with you, something in case your blood sugar gets low, right? You got to spike it up. And my dad, asked a great question, like, well, my blood sugar is not low. It's like 698. Like, why do I need to have any more candy? And the nurse was kind of thrown off by that answer and just was like, well, you're diabetic. You're going to always have to have that stuff. But it's interesting, right? But they put my dad on metformin for 2 months, and they were only able to get it to about like 200 with metformin. But metformin had a lot of side effects. It's just a terrible drug. My dad wasn't liking it. And I'm looking for, some natural solutions to help at that time. Came across berberine, and it just really was checking off all the boxes. And I saw studies on it, on how it is every bit as good, if not better, than metformin, but there's no side effects to it because it's a plant-based alkaloid. And I started having my dad we didn't have this berberine back then, but I had my dad do another brand of berberine, and I had him do it. He was taking 1,000 milligrams of metformin. I had him do 1,000 milligrams of berberine, and no metformin, just totally stopped it. And what we saw with my dad, he started feeling better right away. He started looking up berberine. There's a lot of other great benefits to berberine, not just blood sugar, but other stuff. But my dad, pretty quickly, within about a month or so, started getting down in the 100s with his blood sugar. And to this day, he has not gone back on metformin or any other diabetic medication, even though he's technically type 2 diabetic. He's really not. He takes 1 maintenance berberine a day instead of the 2. And his blood sugar stays around 100, maybe 110. And it's been that way for about 8 years. It's a huge change. And so we started prescribing that to patients as well. And we saw just similar outcomes. It just is really effective. What I like about this berberine synergy that we now carry, it also contains alpha lipoic acid. And so alpha lipoic acid is really known for not just as an antioxidant, but it really is good to help with insulin metabolism sensitivity. So it helps your body take that blood sugar, put it into cells, utilize it for energy, and there's no side effects for it. So this is a really good alternative in a natural way to help with stabilizing your blood sugar. And the way we kind of pair that, we pair this with protein. Because like I said in a couple slides ago, protein stabilizes your blood sugar. That is well known. That's why you want to have protein first thing in the morning, so you can kind of get your body off to a good start, good metabolism, stabilizing blood sugar. But when you add it with the berberine, it's a good 1-2 punch, and it is highly effective. And people love it. Now we have 2 different types of protein. I want to point that out. We have, for those of you that like bone broth, and then we have a plant version. We have an animal and a plant protein here. For the plant protein, what I like about our plant protein and the bone broth, they're both, you see this Pure Path label on them. So Pure Path label, that is all regenerative farming. So we have, as an organization, we've teamed up with Jordan Rubin in Tennessee, and there's thousands of acres he has that he raises his cattle on, he grows his crops on. It's pretty awesome. If you don't know who Jordan Rubin is, he started the Garden of Life supplement brand. That's a huge mega brand now, but he sold it years ago. But he started that brand. He wrote a book called Patient Heal Thyself. Real great story with his Crohn's. But this guy's a CEO, multi-millionaire all over from selling Garden of Life. But he is big in regenerative farming. And so basically, instead of having to find sources of everything all over the world, which is what we typically do, everything can be grown in one place, minimally processed, and you're going from soil to seed to supplement. And you're cutting out all the different points of contact because it's all in one place. And regenerative farming is putting more nutrients back into the soil so that when you grow the crops and the plants and the herbs, they're the most nutrient dense that they can be. They're not lacking nutrients. Most commercial farming is not up to speed. We've stripped the soil of the nutrients. So an apple today isn't the same as an apple 30, 40 years ago. You have to eat like 5 or 6 apples to get the same nutrients as one apple 40 years ago. That's the problem with our soil. So when we talk about supplementing, it's to help bridge gaps that we just can't eat enough these days to compete with how it was 40 years ago. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's the problem. So regenerative farming is a new thing, but when it comes to supplements, it is a completely game-changing thing. So everything is more potent to you, and it's just very good. I enjoy it. I love it. Now, the plant protein we carry, the sources of protein in this, you're gonna have a lot of fruits and vegetables blend in this plant protein. It's vanilla flavored. That's the only flavor that we have with the plant is vanilla. But it's going to be sourced from tiger nuts, from hemp seed, and then from peas, pea protein. And it's very fine. People love this one. So if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, this is vegan friendly. I mean, this stuff is great. You'll love it. For those of you that doesn't matter, you kind of a little bit more animal based like I am. The bone broth is just also gangbusters. What I love about there's a lot. What I love about bone broth, it's so big when it comes to your joints, to your muscles, to your ligaments and tendons, to your discs. Bone broth is from bone marrow. It's extracted, that process, super clean process, the way they extract it. But you get 21 grams of protein per serving. You get 20 in the plant, so right up there. The other things I like about this is, again, regenerative farming. So the cows that the protein is made from, they're out being cows. They're eating hay or they're eating grass, and that's it. There's no chemical corn or sprayed grain. They're not eating that stuff. They're not given hormones. They're not giving antibiotics. They're raised as high a standard as you can get humanely. The other big thing too, when it comes to the bone broth protein, is if you look at the back, there's no fillers in these proteins, eating both. It's just, bone broth protein, some salt, either vanilla or chocolate. There's vanilla or chocolate flavor with the bone broth protein, just vanilla with the plant. But you're going to see there's no fillers, there's no junk, there's no artificial chemicals. And the other thing that I really like about these is that they're 1 month servings. They're 30 servings per container. If you go to your health food store, if you go to some people go to Costco or Walmart. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but because of ingredients. But if you go and you look at those proteins, they're usually like 17, 20 servings per canister. So you have to buy 2 to do a month. And this is not like that. So I love that aspect of it. You actually save money as you get more of these. But this is our blood sugar balance protocol. Super easy to do, very effective. It will help you on your journey when we start adding in the exercise, the spinal care, you're sleeping better. But you gotta have some help sometimes with the nutrition. Great. And those of you that are patients watching, I have our number down. A lot of you already filled out your order forms with our virtual classes. That's kind of, you guys are professionals with this now. But you can order this as well. Bundles, they're all marked down. So you save $20, $25 more getting a bundle versus getting something just individually. You're going to save a lot more. And classes are where you have the biggest savings. So some of you might want to take advantage of this, and instead of getting one bundle, you're going to want to stay on this for a little bit. Get 2 or 3 bundles. That way you're set for the next couple of months, and you've saved a lot of money for these couple of months too. So just like I said, just want to help you with ways to save a little bit. But if you have other things, our whole store, our whole office, the resource center, the books, everything is marked down for you guys today. You just need to call the office if you haven't put an order in already. Brandon would actually prefer you to text the office. If you want to text our office number, Brandon and Destiny will get your orders. If you have your order form, you can take a picture of it and text it to the office. They will get everything run today. They'll put it in a bag with your name on it. Come on Tuesday, pick it up. Don't wait till next week. Come Tuesday, even if it's not your day for your treatment, for your adjustment, that's okay. Swing by, pick up the stuff, start it that day. You're ahead of the game. You guys get what I'm saying? We'll have it ready for you on Tuesday. So really great way to do that. Adding into the ways we can interfere with our body, stress is a big one. The emotional stress, that's huge. I find this number is low to me, but this is what some studies are pointing out when they study people and how stressed are they during the holidays. Almost 40% of people are more stressed during the holidays. I kind of think that's higher just with everything else that's going on, and people are just so stressed out these days more than ever. But what's going on with the stress isn't just bad for emotional state. It doesn't just upset your stomach when you're stressed. It increases your blood sugar levels. Like with my father, a lot of people ask, well, how'd your dad get so high with blood sugar? And it wasn't, he was actually not eating a lot. He wasn't eating great, but he was skipping meals. But they were working my dad, who at the time was in his 60s. They were doing like 100-hour weeks at his company he was working for. And he was getting to bed late. He wasn't sleeping very well. It was only eating like once a day. It was late at night. And so when you kind of, and he was just stressed out of his mind, because who wants to work 100-hour weeks, 6 days a week for a year? Nobody wants to do that. And so just the stress of all that, I really think had a big role in his blood sugar just keep rising up. So that's really big. And some early warning signs that your blood sugar is high, if you're kind of wondering like, well, I don't know if it's diabetic level, is it pre-diabetic? Well, if you find yourself at times just, you cannot quench your thirst, big problem with your blood sugar. Usually if your blood sugar is really high, you are just thirsty and you just can't get enough water. That was something that my dad used to tell me, and I didn't really understand that at the time, but he was always thirsty and he couldn't quench his thirst. And I thought, well, that's kind of odd, but that's a big like early warning sign with diabetes, is you're just thirsty all the time as well. So if you're stressed, if you know this is going on with you, then we want to manage our peace. I don't say manage stress because, you're going to have stress, but handling it better is really where we want to focus on, because that's what it's all about. If we can handle the stress, handle what life throws at us, yeah, there'll be times that it throws us a curveball and we are just knocked off our seat, but we can really start our day off right by really, protecting us, protecting your brain, protecting your heart from a lot of the stuff that the world is going to throw at you. But especially this time with holidays, I kind of want to incorporate that. Simplify your schedule, ladies and gentlemen. Please simplify your schedule. Do not overcommit to everything. It's so easy to do. I have done it. I'm really bad about that, especially during the weekends. I'd load up our weekends to get stuff done that we weren't getting done during the week. And we'd always be doing stuff during the weekends. And, that's not healthy, and it catches up with you. And I was so stressed out about a year and a half ago that I fainted from exhaustion and stress and almost died. I've knocked myself, just out, hit my head and gashed my skull. It was scary. And it took me a while to really recover from that head injury. And so one of the things that my wife, and I'll give Shanna all the credit for this, she, lovingly threatened me, like, your butt is going to slow down. You're not going to be doing everything for everybody like you normally do. You're slowing down, and we are resting on weekends. And so we started to implement that, and it was really hard. It was not easy. It's very hard. It's still hard. But when you really set aside in your to-do list, the things, the events you want to make, your family gatherings, all that stuff, prioritize that. But it's okay to say no to other stuff. And you're not a bad person. You're just protecting your sanity. You're protecting your stress. We overcommit way too much with all these things on weekends, not just during the holidays, but especially during the holidays. If you are finding yourself, because this is something that I noticed too. I wear a Garmin watch. It's a wearable. It's for like doing endurance sports and stuff, but it measures your heart rate as well. And after I hit my head, I was noticing that my heart rate was getting way higher than it normally ever has been for me. And it would throw me into like a panic attack. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to faint again. Am I fainting? I was just a mess mentally, and physically for a few months after hitting my head. Well, something that I really got into at the time that I never really practiced was breathing techniques, and really like in the moment when I see my heart rate was, normally it's like, if I'm sitting down, normally it's like in the 50s. If I'm up adjusting patients, it might get up to the 70s or 80s because I'm moving around. I'm, adjusting patients, lifting, and you guys know we're back and forth quite a bit. We help a lot of people. But a few months after I hit my head, it was like in the hundreds as I'm doing that. And I'm like, oh, that's not normal. That's not me. What's going on? And then you start to, your mind, am I about to have another, am I having a panic attack? Am I going to pass out? It's a little nerve wracking. So something that really helped, and I would see it in real time on my watch, go down. It would drop it down 10, 20, beats, was taking about 5 to 10 deep breaths and just deep breath, hold, breathe out, hold for like 5 or 10 seconds. And I would do that. And then I'd look down at my watch and it would go from 100 all the way down to 80. And I would be like, okay. It's just, I gotta breathe from my diaphragm and not from my lungs so much, but more from the diaphragm, that deep breathing, really relaxing to you. And actually you can really get good at this stuff and use some muscles that you didn't know you had. Breathing is great. Don't forget to breathe when you're stressed. It helps so much. Exercise is an awesome stress relief. That's how kind of what got me through having a practice and caring for people. The stress of that, it's a lot. Is I can run it off. I can cycle it off. I can swim it off. I can, lift weights, get in the sauna. Just those are things that really are great. I love to do and they help. But find your exercise, whatever it is, make it something you love doing and implement it, but get moving. We are designed to move and sweat every single day. We're not meant to do this stuff once every week or once a month. It's kind of like taking care of your spine. You don't take care of your spine once every 6 months. It's a regular thing. It's like eating well. It's like, exercising. It's a lifestyle. You have to take care of yourself or you're going to suffer consequences from that. Start your day off right. A lot of people pray and a lot of people do their meditation. I have found with me, it's the first thing I do. It can't be for me. Again, you might be different, but for me, I can't do this later in the day. Too much goes on, and I forget, number one, but number two, I'm really not prepared for my day. So the first thing, but even before I exercise, 30, 40 minutes, I'm getting into my prayer or meditation time, my reading the Bible time, or reading, a book after I do my prayer time. That helps me tremendously. And it really helps me deal with patients because, you guys watching, this is none of y'all watching. You guys, we love you. I have some patients though, that literally I have to pray before I talk with them. God bless them. It just, cause if I don't, I would have like 4 margaritas after I spent time with them. They just need some, some love and, that's none of you watching. I tease with that, but I'm not like I used to. I before Jesus, I used to not handle my stress very well. Now, like this is what handles, like it really centers me and I can handle a lot of the craziness that our practice has, because you'd be amazed how many people hurt themselves or injure themselves or have questions. I mean, it's a nonstop thing. Just because life happens to people. And a lot of these people, we've developed a really good relationship over the years that they've been patients. And, I get concerned. I stress out because of them, with different instances or different traumas that they have in it. So it's just to keep me sane and to keep me from being insane. is such a big help is that morning meditation prayer time. I think that's big. But if you're not doing it at all, find your time to do it. Like, it just helps, but it gets my day off to the right start, and I'm mentally ready to handle patients when I get to the office early in the morning. Plenty of sleep. This is another one I was really bad at. I've gotten a lot better at over the last year and a half. I used to be horrible at this. I would because I'd want to get exercising in no matter what. And I was doing a lot of triathlon stuff, so it's longer exercise routines. And obviously, I have no time outside of early morning to do this stuff. So I would sacrifice sleep to get up earlier to do things. And you know what? You can't do that long term. And it caught up to me. So now I go to bed a good hour, maybe hour and a half earlier. So I don't get the best sleep. I don't get 8 hours. If I do, I won't exercise, and I have to do that for my sanity. But I am getting a good 7 hours of sleep a day, which is great, because I was only getting like 5, maybe 4.5 for years. So that's a huge jump for me. I know some of y'all, just adding an extra hour of sleep a week, that's like a whole nother day of resting that you're going to give your body. And it is so big. You can't cheat sleep. It will catch up to you in different ways. It caught up to me. So I'm telling you, it caught up to everybody. It catches up to you if you don't prioritize it. But also, I can prioritize my sleep, my prayer time, and then my exercise time. That's my routine, and it's planned. So that's going to be really big too, is getting, like, if you're planning nutrition, you have it planned out. You have your days. You're going to go to the grocery store. You have, the recipes you want to make, cook it in bulk. So you have several healthy meals. You just make all one time. You have to make a meal every single night. You can make like a lot of, healthy chicken or a lot of vegetables all at once. You can eat on that a little bit each day during the week. Those are going to be little helpful tips to save you time and keep you sane, but you got to plan that out. Just like your sleep, that's huge. And then perspective's big. Is, again, I say I do these classes not just for y'all, but for me. These are really important for me. The resist the tendency to complain. Last few years, there's been a lot of things to complain about, especially during COVID, and just how people lost their minds. There's a lot of craziness, and it's one of those things where we can still complain about certain things, but we got to watch it, because if that's all our train of thought is, we'll see the worst in everything. Because like you and me, nobody's perfect. All of us make mistakes. Even in trying to help people, and love on people, we still make mistakes, and that's okay. The thing about it is, we can kind of change the way we feel about these situations and focus on the good and focus on finding solutions. We're going to be in a better place. And I know that's hard. That's easier said than done. Absolutely easier said than done. But that's something that we still want to work at, because if we're seeing the good in situations that are probably not great, but we can pull some good out of that, we're going to be at peace. We're not going to be as stressed out. We're going to feel better. And like I said, it's better for the kids, better for our spouses, for us to be in good mental states and not complaining all the time, right? I know people that complain all the time. It's not the best, right? It's not. There's a time and place for that, but not all the time, right? And then another big one, when it comes to sleep, if we deprive our sleep, such like my dad was doing this, it causes, not just impacts your blood sugar levels, it causes inflammation. Did you know that it impacts your hormones? If you're not sleeping enough, it really messes with your hormones. And so one of the hormones that it's going to trigger in a bad way is cortisol. Cortisol is your fight or flight hormone. So it's something we need, and we it saves us in a crisis, but it's not designed to be high all the time. And when we don't sleep really good, it kind of puts our body in a higher cortisol state. And a lot of us think about this: when we sleep, we wake up with an alarm, buzzing off. That shocks your body awake. Your cortisol is usually really high when you wake up. So these aren't really good, again, solutions over time. If your cortisol is high over time, you're going to be inflamed. And it'll be a chronic inflammation. It'll be in your joints. It'll be in your tissues. It'll be, all over your body if you're not careful with that. But that's a big hormone problem when we're not sleeping well. So prioritize your sleep. It is such a help, and start doing it right now. Go to bed an hour earlier. I promise you'll be a better worker the next day. You'll be a better spouse. a better parent, because you're going to be more recharged than you thought. It just helps you handle that day a lot better. Another thing that's great with reducing your stress is exercise. Like I said, it's so helpful, not just because it reduces your stress, because literally it can help with balancing your blood sugar better. It helps increase insulin sensitivity, meaning insulin is what takes your sugar that's in your bloodstream, blood sugar. It takes that sugar and puts it into your cells, and it's utilized for ATP, for energy in the mitochondria. That's insulin's job. But when we are super stressed, when we don't exercise, when we eat a lot of bad foods that have a lot of sugar in them, it kind of dulls down insulin's response. And that's how blood sugar stays in the bloodstream and is not getting used by insulin. It basically desensitizes insulin to sugar. That's not good. That's insulin's job, is being sensitive to pick it up and to utilize it. And if it's not picking it up, it stays high in our blood. And you all know high blood sugar is not good over time. It creates a lot of serious health issues. So by exercising, not only do you reduce stress, but when you work out, for the first 10 or 15 minutes, your body is burning sugar in the form of glycogen in your muscles. It burns that stuff out. And then if you stay exercising for another whatever after that time, 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, your body starts to burn fat at that point. And then that fat that's getting burned helps replenish the glycogen stores in your muscles. It's really neat. You can train your body to burn fat instead of sugar and carbs. You can train it to do that. Now, any type of exercise is good to do. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to talk a little bit about Max T3, but I would suggest anything that gets you doing it. Find the exercise that you like to do, whether it might be swimming or cycling or running. It could be lifting weights. It could be CrossFit. It could be some of the pretty advanced stuff. It could be hiking. It could be yoga. It could be martial arts. Something that you like to do it. But make sure you're doing it daily. That's the key. And with a routine, you got to have a routine or you're going to not do it. Routine is key. So the steps on this would be something you like to do. That's number one. The second thing is going to be the timing of it. Make sure you have a set time during your day that is your exercise time. Because if you don't do that, your chances of doing it regularly are going to be really, really low. If you're doing it at all different types of hours, you're just not going to be consistent with it. So whether it's first thing in the morning, like myself, it could be at 2 p.m., it could be in the evening. As long as it's consistent, that's going to be key to keeping you on track and loving it and doing it, right? That's the key thing. If it means you want to get a gym membership, if that's going to motivate you to work out, then do that. You don't have to work out at a gym though. That's the big thing. You can do a lot of this stuff at the house. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you something here. It's going to be in the comments section. Let me post this. Here we go. Let me post this. Okay. So this I'm posting is going to, whether you're watching Facebook or whether you're watching our YouTube, in both comments, I just posted our Max T3 work or on the go exercise sheet. It's really cool. It's a little document. It's about 10, 15 pages, and it shows you a lot of what this is. So this is something you can do from your house. You don't need fancy equipment. All you need is maybe an exercise ball, stairs, and a pair of resistant bands like you're seeing here. You can even do some light dumbbells, or you can just do your own body, like your own body weight. But what's great about it, it's going to give you a list of workouts that you can do at your house every day. And it's going to give you this is the workout of the day. This is the workout of the day. You'll love this. And what's cool about this is that you'll see these workouts, they're not long. They might be a minute. They might be, they might be 30 seconds. There's going to be rests in between these reps. Well, what it is, it focuses on 3 T's. So the type of exercise, the timing, so how long you do it, and then the tempo, how fast you do it. All these exercises, they change all those things up to where you don't plateau, you're not doing the same thing. And that's really good for dialing up your metabolism and really getting the fat to start burning faster in the body. That's the beauty of it. So, and then once you're done doing these T3 workouts, your body's still burning fat. It's not stopped, like if you were to run, a long distance, it doesn't stop. So it's very helpful in that. And it can get you results pretty fast. This is something that I would maybe add on to something you love to do. So if you like to do walks every day, don't stop that. Keep doing your walks. But then 3 days a week, add in the T3 on the go from your house, and you'll see like, oh, this is really kind of breaking that plateau. This is taking my workout to another level, because you're going to be working a different system. You're working your anaerobic system, not your aerobic system. And that's why it works very well and it helps so good. But I text you guys, or I put it in the comments. So if you go and click on that link, that'll take your, or put that in your search engine. It'll take you to the form, and you got the form. It's pretty cool. It just really helps guide you. You can print it off, have it around the house, but it's a great way to get into that exercise from the house. Maybe you can't go outside because you don't like the cold, but you can do stuff in your house every day. And it's not like you're going to feel it. It's not easy, but it's not long. So how about that? Is that a good, happy medium? It's not going to take you all day to do this. You're not going to have to go to a gym. You can do it from your house, but you're going to be out of breath while you do it. Yeah, it's short though. It's short and sweet and packs a punch. So that's the T3 workout. And a lot of you are working out, or you're trying to get back into it, but physically it's tough. And we're going to talk about physical interference in just a second. But when it comes to inflammation, particularly, we have an inflammation protocol. It's our strong joints and muscle protocol, which is going to be really game changer for those of you that just want to exercise, but you're beat up after, like you're really hurt, and you shouldn't be. You should feel really good. You should have dopamine going off, and you should be relaxed and calm and just, loving life after the workout. Maybe not during, but after for sure. But if you're finding yourself really sore, really beaten up, and it's taking you days to kind of get back to exercise, then there's a lot of inflammation going on. There might be arthritis. There could be degeneration in your spine, or in your knees, or in your hands. This is going to be a game changer for you guys to keep you active and to minimize that inflammation going on in your body. So this is the 3-prong approach we have to doing it. I myself take this because I do a lot of exercise. I do a lot of manual adjusting in the office. And so what that means is, I get beat up a lot. So does Dr. Carter. We get beat up when we adjust. It's just the nature of us. We want to help you guys, but it's like a catch-22. We take a beating helping y'all as well. So joint health, I take this every day. I have a lot of patients that have arthritis, in their hands, in their knees, in their spine. They're inflamed a lot. I have them take 2 of these a day. I have them double up. It's very helpful. So what I like about our joint health, it's really targeting just that. It's targeting our joints. It's reducing inflammation in the joint capsule and around with the surrounding ligaments and tendons. So for instance, hyaluronic acid is the big component of the joint health. That's found in your moving synovial joint complex. It's hyaluronic acid. A lot of people take glucosamine or chondroitin together. And the reason that this does not have that in there, and this is why I can take this one, I can't take glucosamine because it's sourced from shellfish. I am anaphylactic allergic to shellfish. Like I eat it, I can die. Like it swells my throat up. Really, it cuts off my trachea, cuts off my breathing if I'm not careful. So I can't source that. I've actually tried glucosamine, not knowing it came from shellfish. And I'm like, it's just, my throat was itching all the time. And I felt like I was, I couldn't breathe real well. I'm like, am I having asthma? Like, I was getting glucosamine. It comes from shellfish. So this does not do that. This has hyaluronic acid in it. So it's easy for people that have allergies to do. It also has collagen with it for the surrounding tissues. It has boswellia extract. That's going to be for, again, reducing inflammation in tendons around the joints. It also has gingeroids in it, which is, ginger. That's going to be really good for reducing inflammation as well. So it's really a very potent joint health. And like I said, I take it every day now. When I hit my head a year and a half ago, I was taking 2 to 3 of these a day because I was really inflamed. So yeah, this is great. Pairing with the joint health, we want to build back up our muscles and our ligaments and tissues. We need collagen and we need protein for that. So the bone broth protein, I told you just, everything about it, but it does give you 20 grams of quality protein that's good for muscle repair and tissue repair and recovery. So being not so sore, great time to do this protocol after your exercise. Like if you work out in the morning, take this thing right after you work out. That's what I do. And I make a shake. I make a smoothie with this. And I have my bone broth protein. I got, my coconut milk. I have a little bit of berries, a little bit of almond butter or peanut butter, healthy versions of those, of course. And then I'll have collagen. I put my collagen with it because the collagen is also a powder, but it's unflavored. So whether you have vanilla or chocolate bone broth, it doesn't matter. You're not going to taste it, but you can just mix it with it. And I'd give this to my kids too, so they get collagen in their body. Collagen is really good for tissue repair, for hair, skin, for nails, for joints. Getting that in there, and both of these are bone broth sources. So even the collagen has a little bit of protein in it. It's bone broth source. So you're getting extremely good sources of protein. And bone broth is very gut healing. It's very healthy on the gut. It's hypoallergenic. So some people can't really do whey protein because of casein. This doesn't have that in there. Like I said, it's bone marrow. So you handle it better. I have a lot of patients that have allergies, food allergies. They can take this stuff well because of how it's sourced. So that's our protocol as well. That's one that's going to be marked down a lot. So that's something you can order. You can call or text the office with the number that's on the screen scrolling across. Text the office, let them know. They will get all that set up with you, and it helps quite a bit. Something that's really important that I want to point out when it comes to just health in general, because we have focused a lot here on the nutrition. We focused a lot on the stress. We focused a lot on a lot of things. We focused a lot on sleep quality, how to recognize chemicals that are in our food, one ingredient foods to put in our body. All those things support healthy function of your body, but they don't control your body. They don't control the function of your body. And that plays into this fact check that's really important. This is kind of the mantra. I used to have a radio show on 100.7 FM for 10 years. And it originally was a call-in show. It was during people's lunch break. And we go up there on Tuesdays and take live calls. And you'd be amazed the question we would always ask people, because they would call in with, their different problems they were dealing with their health, and they were wanting natural solutions. And we would get a call, we'd talk to them. And the question that myself or Dr. Hooten, who I did the show with for most of those years, would ask would be, how do you know you're healthy? Do you think you're in good health right now? A lot of people would recognize, no, I'm not in good health. Like I have problems and I need some help. I need guidance. I don't want to do drugs and surgery. We'd have a lot of that. But man, every now and then we would get somebody to be like, well, no, I'm good. Like I got high blood pressure. I have, high cholesterol, but I have those under control. I'm taking meds for those, so I'm good on that. Or other people be like, well, I feel good. I don't have any pain, so I feel like I'm healthy. And then we would find out after talking to that person that they have migraines all the time. They have blood sugar issues. They're overweight. They have digestive problems. They don't have any pain, but they have problems. And they thought because they had no pain that they were in good health. So the reality of this statement is health has nothing to do. I hate to say this, but it's true. It has nothing to do with how you feel necessarily. Don't get me wrong. If you're not feeling good, I want all my patients to feel well. I want you guys to be feeling good. But understand, health is more than just feeling. It's about function. That's what it's all about. If you're feeling good, but you're not functioning good, you're unhealthy. I mean, just mic drop on that. If you are functioning good, you should feel good as well. But your functioning is what matters. Health is all about healing and functioning 100%. That's true health. If you're functioning at 80%, you're not healthy. And this is really big because when people initially come in to see us, they see me on, Facebook or YouTube or off our radio show, they come in, they would come in, and a lot of you may be watching did the same thing. Just because you don't know, we are told to do this approach, wait till we hurt and wait till it's bad enough, then go try to find out and get our health back. That's what we're told to do. But what I want to show you or tell you is it's chronic stuff. It's a warning sign that something's ridiculously wrong in your body. And if you didn't know, like with chronic pain or with migraines or with neck pain or sciatica or carpal tunnel, with cancer, with blood sugar, these are disease processes that spend a lot of years asymptomatic. You don't feel a problem. You don't know there's a problem going on. That's with all diseases. And the reason that is because your body it adapts to stress so well, and it has so many functions to do that it's going to prioritize the main functions until it can't. And they've looked into this statistically. Your body, like say you're having sciatic pain down your leg, right? Say that's going on. Your body has to be at about 60% function to notice that sciatic pain. So the area of your lower back where the nerve comes out, it's got to be about 60% degraded. Then you notice that you have sciatic pain. It's not the other way around. It's not like at 99% function, you notice sciatic pain. No. It's like at 60%. It's at 50% usually with a heart attack, because people die and they just have a heart attack and died. Their first symptom was death. It wasn't like, oh, my chest hurts to let me know there's a problem. But even then, 50%, that's their first symptom, is the heart attack. They have no idea there's a problem. They're not healthy. They're in trouble. And we got to understand that if we're not paying attention to that, something's seriously wrong with our body. We don't recognize that. It's disastrous long-term. If you, and I say this with love, if this is how you approach your health, some of you are new and you got to hear this. And this is the loving, tough love part of Dr. Wall. I've seen it. I've seen it happen so many times in 17 years of practice. If you don't start working on your function first, you just start treating the symptoms and treating them with drugs and doing that Band-Aid type of care, the medical merry-go-round. You go to all the specialists, get on the drugs. Those drugs will create other side effects. They might lower your symptoms, they might not, but I guarantee you they'll give you other side effects that you'll have to take more drugs for. Bottom line is you will spend all your money chasing symptoms. You will spend all your money going into hospitals, having surgeries, being on disease. You will lose quality of life, and I'm talking years of quality of life. You'll end up in the nursing home or assisted living in your later years because you can't take care of yourself. That's where that approach lands people almost always. You just, that's what it's designed to do, or we can work on function and get to where we're not taking as many drugs. We're reversing disease process. We're getting function back in our body. We can still travel. We can still play with our grandkids. We can still do the things in life as we get older, and we can take care of ourselves. We don't have to have family and friends taking care of us because we cannot function ourselves. Like, that is the goal that I have for all of you watching, and all your families, is to get to where you have that quality of life your whole life, and you're not blowing all your money and all this, the retirement that you've saved up on treating these symptoms that doctors never worked on the cause with you. They just gave you drugs. I don't want that for you. It's not a good place to be. So there's a difference between feeling and function. And you see the spine, because this is the favorite part I get to talk about, is the bread and butter of what we do with patients at Gateway Chiropractic. We work with your spine and nerves, and we're very good at it. This is your spinal nerve system. I love this 3D picture. I don't need to show this more often, but this is so cool because it shows how vast your nervous system is. This is your brain at the top. This is your brain stem, your cerebellum, and then this is your spinal cord that's in red all the way down to your lower back. And then these nerves, they look like little lines. Those are the nerves that come off of your spinal cord. As you can see, I'm on the slide kind of moving. It comes off the cord and it goes to all different muscles, cells, tissues, everything in your body is run by your nerves. Just as you go down, check this out. I'm going to come out of this for a second. As you go down your spinal cord, different nerves are running different organs. You have heart nerves that's in your upper back. Lung nerves are in your upper back, right? You go down to the middle back. Now you're starting to see more like the liver, the spleen, the pancreas. So attached to every nerve is an organ or a cell or a muscle or a tissue. That's how we work. That's how it's vital, right? That's how we function. And when these nerves, when you mess with them, when they get interfered with, whatever the nerve innervates is the fancy word for runs, whatever it powers does not work at 100%. And your body, like you don't want to interfere with your nerves. For instance, if you cut the nerves, like if I had scissors and I just cut the nerves in half that go to the heart, if I sever the connection, if I cut the power supply to the heart doesn't keep beating. It putters for a few minutes and then it just dies. Like it's called necrosis. Cells die. They're not getting the juice. They're not getting the power of life coming from your brain. You can't disconnect it and have that end well. So that's like an all or none approach because, obviously, thank goodness nerves don't get sliced in half these days, but they get compressed all the time. And so check it out. There's more than one nerve. There's a plexus, a group that run the heart. But if I went here at the level of the spine and I just started pinching one of the nerves that comes off your spinal cord that goes to the heart, it's not going to work at 100%. It's going to have to adapt to that. And it's going to have to work a little harder to keep up because it's a little stressed. And you and I won't even know there's a problem. That's how good our body is at adapting to stress. But that stressed heart can only last so long being stressed before more things break down. And then we might notice, hey, my blood pressure is starting to be high all of a sudden. Why is it high? I don't know why. Or I'm starting to get dizziness or lightheadedness. I'm getting, I went to the doctor and like my blood pressure is really high. My pulse is getting high. You're starting to see the problems erode. And why is that? Because it leads to degeneration in every part of your body that subluxation is. So we talked about the nerves in the spinal cord. Well, your skull protects your brain because that's its job. It's the shield of protection for your brain. The shield of protection for your nerves and your spinal cord is your spinal column. You have 24 movable bones that surround your spinal cord, and then they have a disc in between each of them. And then right here, if you look at the bottom right, you can kind of see the mouse here. You have an opening on the side of all the bones. That is where your nerves come out and they go to muscles and cells and tissues. These holes need to be big, meaning there is a normal alignment to your spine and to mine for normal function. So looking at the front, our spine should be straight up and down, hips should be level. But from the side, we should have curves in our spine. If you look at this, we should have a curve in our neck, we should have a curve in our middle back, and we should have a curve in our lower back. We need 3 curves from the side. When we have these curves, our spinal column is protected and the nerves inside are relaxed and those holes are big. If we are subluxated, that's the medical term used for when your spine gets shifted out of position, out of alignment. This is a good example you can see on this slide. This blue part of the spine is this gentleman's thoracic spine. The red part is called the lumbar spine. The bones actually change how they're shaped in these segments. They look differently. But you're also seeing this guy's holding his back. You can see the spine, it's twisted. It might be hard to see that, but it's twisted out of alignment. That's why it's all the heat's coming off of it. Well, that's a subluxation. When the bones, due to your habits, due to the way you sleep, a lot of you work at a desk on a computer all day, your head's down, you're like this all day working. Some of you do labor work, you're lifting all day, you're doing maybe factory work, or you're cleaning, you name it. Some of you are just taking care of moms, you're taking care of the house, you're doing all of that, cleaning, you're doing raising kids or carrying kids. It's a physical job. Some of you have had trauma, some of you have had auto accidents, some of you have had sports injuries. Just things we love to do, but it hurts. Some of you have been in auto accidents, you name it. Or had falls, falling down the stairs, falling off the trampoline. These are things that cause our spine to subluxate, gets out of its normal position, and it just stays stuck there. And all those nerves that come out, they're now getting squeezed or compressed. And again, subluxation, it will lead to degeneration in every part of the body, depending on where it's occurring. So in the lower back, for instance, think about this big picture. A lot of people, They might feel pain in their lower back. Some, it takes months to feel that just because of how our nerves are. But what also these nerves go to, instead of just the lower back, they go down the legs. So a lot of times people get subluxated in their lower back. They start to feel stuff down their legs, and they don't know it's coming from their back. That's where those nerves go. So sciatica starts in your lower back. Those nerves wrap around the front, and they run things like the colon. They run the bladder. They run for a man, they run the prostate gland. For women, it's your ovaries. It's like cycles, it's hormones. And then for everybody, it's the digestive system. So a lot of people that have subluxation in their back, they might not have back pain at that moment. They might be just tight. But a lot of them they start having bad bowel movements or irregular digestion, constipation, and they're like, what's going on with my digestive tract? It's the back, it's the spinal cord, it's the nerves, it's getting interfered with. A lot of people are like, well, you know what? I'm the bladder, like I feel like I got to go to the bathroom all the time, or my prostate, like I don't know what's going on. Chances are there's subluxation in the back causing that. It's a big deal. That's the other thing with this too is how do you know it's even going on? So something that we do in our office with people, the first visit they come in is we test. You just never know. You can't, assume that you have it or not. You might not be feeling subluxation. You might have other things going on that you don't know are related to your spine, and that gets people into a lot of trouble. These are the most common warning signs that I see in my practice with subluxation. And you're going to see a lot of these aren't like pain. There are some, but the subluxation is very important to note that a lot of times you don't feel it. So you have to test for it. So some big markers that might, to somebody that's never had their spine examined properly, these are good warning signs. Like if you notice that your range of motion is bad in an area of your spine, like if you're subluxated in your neck, it's going to affect the way you turn your neck. You might be just going one side and you're like, man, I can't turn very well. And then this side, I'm a lot better at. What's going on? Subluxation causes bad range of motion. You could have like a shoulder higher than the other and be going, I'm looking in the mirror and that just doesn't look right. What is that? You're subluxated. That's the reason your spine is like that, is because your spine has shifted, causing your shoulders to be off balance, or your head can be off balance from the side. Your head could be in front of your shoulders, and that kind of pulls those shoulders in. These are all markers of subluxation that you might not realize you have going on. Look at your kids, because kids really, especially today when they're on tech, they have bad posture. They really do. And they can have spine problems really early compared to, 17 years ago when they didn't have all the smartphones. They was just getting started. It's different now. But yeah, these are things like when nerves are damaged, they get hot. So we do thermography with patients and we can find areas that are inflamed, and we take digital x-rays. That's always the best, is seeing exactly how long the subluxations have been in the spine, where are they, how to start helping that. Because that's what we do in our office, is we don't just identify it. We want to help reduce it and correct a patient's spine. So we do rehab, we do adjustments. And when we combine those together, we can retrain the body to start pulling back into a normal position and getting pressure off those nerves. And we see lives change. And it's why I still do this after, on my 18th year. We love seeing the miracles that we see in the office. These are big warning signs though. And if you're having, headaches or high blood pressure, those are going to be, typically we would check the top of the neck, because that's going to be where the vagus nerve is. That deals with blood flow and circulation. And chances are, if those are going on with somebody, that's usually the root cause. See, this is a different approach. We're seeing symptoms, but we're looking at root causes. Where is this stuff originating? Let's work on that and get your life back. It's an amazing thing we're able to do. But if you are not a patient, I'm glad you're patients, you're watching this, because you need to think about this differently. Always think about root cause, not treating symptoms. That's why you're here as a patient. We're getting to the root cause and getting you better that way. If you're not a patient though, that's a different approach. I know it is. It's completely opposite of what a lot of people have grown up doing. But I want you to hear me on this. If you're having these symptoms, one of these is bad because it's not a normal thing. But if you're having multiple of these things, you're going, man, I've never had my spine examined. I want to help you. Our office wants to help you. the people that told you to get on this class, they want to see you get help. This is what we're going to do for you. Doing on my screen down below, that scroller it's going across has our office number. I want you to call the office number. We will schedule you for a chiropractic exam in our office this week. In what that consists of is what I'm talking about. Range of motion, posture analysis. It's going to be thermography, and x-rays. If we need to take them, we'll take the x-rays. All of that is our new patient appointment. It's our day one visit of a new patient. Typically, it's $105 for all that testing. We are going to waive the cost of that testing for those of you that are taking action, that you're action takers. You're like, man, I'm in. I want to do this. I want to figure out what's going on because I'm having like 4 of those things and I'm tired of taking drugs. If you're fed up with how you're going with this and you want a different solution, we're the place for you. But you got to take action. You got to call that number right now. That's 817-886-7545. Brandon will be there. Destiny will be there. They'll get you scheduled. If you're calling a little bit later today, leave a message. We will get back with you. It is Saturday. They're going to go home, but we will get right back to you and we'll get you scheduled to have that done. Again, it is because you're watching the class, you want to take advantage of this. There won't be a charge for that whole visit, even if we have to take x-rays. So it's a great way to really find out what's going on. And then we will talk with you and show you how we can help. And then it's your choice if you want to get help or not. That's on you. But you will love us. We will take great care of you. We will help you and answer a lot of questions. And if you apply this, we'll get you to a level of health that you haven't been at in a very long time. We'll get a lot of your function back. We're good at it. That's what we do. So with that being said, the action steps that we talked about a bunch, and we're about to have our question and answer, is we want to reduce our stress, our inflammation. We want to start building peace management into our daily routine. Routines are great. They give you freedom. I know some people don't think that. They do. They give you the freedom to do other stuff because you're taking care of you. And then reduce your physical stress. Obviously, call our office, get in the office, get your spine examined. Patients, this is when you want to work more, right? Our office only closes twice a year, and that's for Thanksgiving and for the week of Christmas. So what I want you to do, if you're watching this, is to focus on your adjustments in your rehab. This is a time when you want to do your rehab a little bit longer, not less. A lot of people stop their rehab because it's stressful this time of year. Don't be that person. Do your rehab longer. Get creative with it. Keep exercising. Keep on your adjustments. You're going to need this, especially when it gets up to Christmas, and you'll be way better off and not so beat up. And people get sick a lot during this time of year because they are so stressed and they're not taking care of themselves. If you want to reduce your risk of getting sick, like flu or COVID or any of that stuff during this holiday season, stay on your adjustments, stay on your resources, stay on the vitamins and minerals, keep eating well, get your sleep. You will handle this season really well. Start the resources. If you have been ordering, get the resources, save money, implement this stuff. It's going to be very helpful. And then obviously reduce your intake by your sugar intake by starting the advanced plan. That's going to be vital for you as well. Very helpful. That being said, what I want to do here is I'm going to open up question and answer right now because I know a lot of you guys are watching. And there's a lot of questions that we get, especially with one of these workshops. It could be with the supplements, it could be with the nutrition, but I want to get some feedback from everybody. And we have quite a few people watching. That's awesome. Love it. I'm just kind of looking through here. Yeah. So, hey, Ron, this is great to have you on, you and Miss Betsy. So he's got a really good thing that he now says, I'll put up here. Doctors and pharmacies, they push the shot. They really do, especially if you're 60 years or older. There's reasons they do this. But I love your response. You say, I don't say I don't do vaccinations. I now say I'm okay. That way I'm not interrogated or questioned. Why not? I love that. It's like that, 3D chess you're playing with there. That's a great response to say. But I will tell you the reason that people are told this There's two reasons. Number one, it's a financial incentive. The pharmacies, they get paid more money by the more vaccines they give out. They get their bonuses that way. So do doctors. They're bonus based on how many vaccines they give you as a patient. So they're always going to ask you for that. It's even a bigger incentive for pediatricians because they when they mess up their quota, they don't get paid as much. They don't get bonus as much on their shots, and that's why if you refuse to get vaccines, they won't even see your kids as patients. As terrible as that sounds, because it's messing up their quota on how many vaccines they give out. So I think that's a great response, saying I'm okay. But yeah, if you're 6 years or older, you are going to get asked every time you go to your primary care about that, shingle shots, flu shots, COVID shots. Do not get them. They don't help you. They actually weaken your body, they weaken your immune response, and they can start creating abnormal autoimmune problems long term. And that's, again, hard for some people to hear, but it is what it is. And it's something that the less you do, the better. If you build your body up from the inside out, you're not going to be getting sick. You're not going to like, to their opinion, their mindset is, well, you're going to get sick. You need to take these shots to prevent it. Although most people get sick and they have flu after they get a flu shot, or they have shingles after a shingle shot, because it stimulates that virus and it starts to get active. Instead of just not having to deal with it because you took care of your body, they don't think that way. You just have to understand, there are some good ones out there, some good doctors that think that way, but majority, they don't. It's all reactive and symptom based. It's not proactive. So you just got to be proactive, in that. All right, Miss Debbie, listening from Washington. We miss you, Miss Debbie. You need to come say hi when you get back in town. But we're so excited you're going to a Max Living office up there, and you're with your family. That is so big. I love that. Look down here. We got some more. I'm glad people are really liking what we talked about. Oh, good, Miss Cindy. I'm glad this is. She's saying the workshop's happening at just the right time for her. Well, I love hearing that. And that's such a great thing, because this is one of those that I just feel like everybody needed between now and Christmas. I think we all need that stuff. Oh, I love it. I love it. Miss Wanda, I love it. I love you. So excited you're on the class. I like this. Right after Thanksgiving, I couldn't wait to get back on target. My husband and I had our meal waiting at home following our family Thanksgiving. I love that. That is what you do. So here's another thing with the family get-togethers. Don't take any leftovers. I don't do it. Like, our family, it kind of annoys them. I don't take, neither does Shannon. We just never do leftovers because I don't want to keep eating that. Because I will, like, it's good. It tastes good. I don't want to keep eating it. So we don't do leftovers. And this isn't just with holidays. This is anywhere. If we go out to eat and we have food left over, do not take it. We do not take leftovers. This is more challenging with our kids. But when it's like something healthy, then we'll take it for the kids. But I just don't, because I don't over order now like I used to. But I just don't take any leftovers because I just don't eat them. I just don't. I'd rather just have something fresh the next day. But I think that's great to get back on target. But yeah, watching those leftovers, if you can not take them again, that's great. So you're not eating 3 Thanksgiving meals. You're just maybe having one or Christmas meal. It's a good thing. Here's a good one. Miss Kathy. Yay. I think this might be your first class. So good to have you on, Miss Kathy. What about monk fruit? Okay. So monk fruit is going to be a natural sweetener. It has a lot of good purposes. So it's going to be in that course of that. Yes, you can have monk fruit. It doesn't spike your blood sugar. It's kind of like a erythritol or a stevia. It's not spiking the blood sugar response. And monk fruit is really used a lot with, we used to have bars, and it kind of keeps the bar together, the texture of a monk fruit. And that was kind of how it held the bar together. It wasn't just goo. But monk fruit is, again, a natural, blood stabilizer. It's not going to spike your blood sugar. That monk fruit is totally fine. That's now getting used more. It used to be very rare to see monk fruit being used in anything, but now that's an alternative sweetener that doesn't give you, any problems compared to like an artificial sweetener. So great. Monk fruit is awesome. Yes, 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 yes. Miss Wanda, I love that. Oh yes, Miss, uh, yes, Miss Micah found us on the radio. Yeah, that is it's been a while since the radio show, but I tell you, it's those were good times. We loved everybody that a lot of you watching met us on the radio show. We really value that. Like we look back on the radio show, and I miss it a lot. It's just we got to the point where I couldn't carry the thing myself. We had four doctors involved at first, and so that was a lot easier because I didn't have to go up there every single or twice a week. So it just got to where I couldn't make that commitment. And then my kids are getting older and stuff like that. But I miss it. Got to figure out maybe a way to get back on somehow and just do it from the house. I don't know, but that was the radio show. Man, that was fun. Um, awesome. Awesome. John, I'm so glad you're watching, buddy. You are doing great, man. You're doing so good. Um, here's a good question. Here's a good one. Miss Wanda, you were asking some questions today, girl. I love it. So, is it true that shingles lies dormant in the body? Don't want vaccinations. A friend took the shingles shot and had the shingles attack while. Okay, so that was man. You must have read my mind when I was talking about with Ron's question. That's a great point. Yeah, that actually happens a lot to people. They'll take that shingles shot and literally maybe a week or two later they get a full outbreak of shingles and it's miserable. No, you do not need that vaccination. Yes, it lays dormant in the body because if you had chickenpox early on in life, that's the zoster virus. So that stays dormant. And guess what? Shingles lays dormant in your spine. That herpes zoster, it's in your spinal cord. That's where it resides. And just like anything else with a virus, if you are in a weakened state, if you are doing a lot of the bad stuff we were talking about, that makes your body more prone to having sickness. Well, if you're also stressed on top of that, usually the shingles it comes out when you're very stressed. You've been maybe worn down or worn down with health. That's usually when it shows up. So it's not good. But no, you do not need to take that shot. Just build up your defenses. Make sure you're getting adjusted, which you do. You don't miss. Make sure you're doing the vitamin protocol that we talk about. For the fall, like a lot of vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, the IM support, or it's called immunotone now, but that's the elderberry, that's the echinacea. Those are things that are going to be in your pantry, your wheelhouse, that'll help you right now, especially when we're not out in the sun very much. I love it, Miss Renee. I love you on here. It's so good. Oh, Monica, you have a real good question, Miss Monica. What natural sweetener did you say was good to bake with? Swerve, Swerve is the brand. It's the technical name is, don't make me spell this, but it's erythritol. EYR something. My spelling's not great. Erythritol. So that's going to be the one that bakes like sugar, like almost exactly like it, like cup for cup. But man, we got some great questions, guys. I love it. I'm so glad you guys were on this class. If you have any more questions, my email address, I'll put it here in the comments. You can email me questions. But Brandon and Destiny are still at the office. If anybody has any more stuff to do, they'll be there for about another 10 minutes or so. But then they'll go. So if you're watching this and it's later Saturday, call. You can still take advantage of the resources on sale. Just leave a message. Let us know that you're watching the class. We love that. And got a couple of weeks before our time off. So make sure we're getting adjusted. You're staying on it. Make some changes. You will be so much better by New Year's. You won't be like everybody else. And we want you guys having success. So God bless you guys. We love y'all and have a great one. Okay. Have a great rest of your weekend.